That's it. And
Yeah.
most men are not at your brother's level, right? Of like honoring whatever they feel. It is
Mhm.
like they honor responsibilities. And so
Yeah.
how that impacts their overall health, including even what you just said,
Mhm.
the health being the healthiness of relationships around you, not
Yeah.
just a spouse, right? But like kids, maybe
Mhm.
nieces, nephews, sisters, moms,
Mhm.
whoever is, related to you. So, um, when you think about that, do you feel like if your father would have paused, that he would have shown up better for the people around him, just emotionally, or for himself emotionally?
Oh, I think my dad is a giver. So I think
Mm.
his primary go to and whatnot would have been for others. Um, if he did the rest, it would be for others. And I think me now looking back, I would want the rest to be for him. And because it's for him, then everybody around him benefits from it. Never
Mm,
do it for us, you
I
know?
love that. I
Yeah.
do love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I don't even know if he had paused then if it had been better as much as it would have just been different.
Fair. That's absolutely fair. That's a very
Yeah.
valid point. A lot of times we think if it would have been XYZ, it would have been better. No, it
And I'm
would have
like,
been
would
different,
it?
but we don't
It's
know
been
what it would have
different.
been.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. It's interesting that you said your father was a giver and that maybe if he just would have paused for himself, it would
Hmm.
have shown up in other ways. And then I'm thinking about my father, my late father. It's weird saying that, right? Late father, but he's been
Hmm.
gone for a while now. Um, I think that if he wouldn't have been able to acknowledge his struggles fully outwardly
Hmm.
and inwardly, then he may have been more in alignment or thinking about a pause. So it's like I don't even think he thought he needed one.
Sure.
He just knew he was struggling, but I don't think that he ever conceptualized that I don't have to struggle or that this is a struggle and I'm
Hmm.
struggling with it and I need something else.
Yeah.
Right? I think that my father in particular, he was a self-soother, which I am a self-soother. Now that I think about it, he was a self-soother, but obviously I pick more healthy versions
Hmm.
than my father. So like my father was an addict. Um at a different level. I don't think I've probably said that out loud maybe once or twice. No judgment because I have a
Hmm.
special place for people like that. But he when I hear stories about him from people, it's like he would say, I'm really trying. I need this help. I'm trying to get clean. I want to be clean.
Yeah.
And then he would just fall short. But I also think that part of that was he would only half recognize that.
Hmm.
It's like right now I feel it, but when I'm using my coping skill of choice, I don't feel that. And since I'm using that more than not, I'm not really in the space of I need a break
Yeah.
because I'm already numbing it out, right? Um and so I think that that's why I think men's health is really important because I'm not a person that dwells on the past, but I do consider which version of my father would have shown up if he had
Hmm.
fully gotten the help that he needed, right?
Yeah.
Um, and acknowledged that he needed it and was willing to ask for it or felt comfortable in the world to ask for it without looking weak.
Mhm.
Those are the
That
things
speaks
I
to the
think about.
different or better. Yeah.
And I remember I can remember my father's weak moments whether he knew that I saw them or not.
Mm.
And I always credit my father to being the reason I actually genuinely do love people unconditionally because I knew how to love him and I still loved him even when he was not who I needed.
Mm.
I still loved him. Like I have a soft place for people. Might be why I hold on to people a little longer, but I've learned that you have to love people at all times. And I credit that to him. I don't have to like you. Don't get it twisted. But I do, learning to love somebody truly, even in their worst, show some unconditional love. So I think that I think about that a lot when I think about men's health, just what it would have done differently for men that I was close to. Like, what would that have done if that had been a focus point the way it is now?
Yeah.
How many homes could you have saved? How many lives would be different? How many more men would be in tune with their emotions if it had been addressed with their father's father
Yeah. To pass it down.
to
Yeah.
pass it down?
Yeah.
So I do think men's health is really, really, really important. Um, and that we need to, I say we, that's us two ladies. We need to we need to offer men more spaces to be.
Hmm. For sure.
Because I think here's you know what? Thinking about it, how can I, if I was a man, and I'm not, but if I was one, would I be able to recognize the unhealthy parts if society doesn't expect me to be healthy?
Mm.
If the standard for me stereotypically
Yeah.
looks this way, like men provide, men don't cry, insert whatever foolish quote you ever heard. Like, how can you recognize something that you weren't taught was supposed to be for you anyway?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's big because then it's like, well, it's not like people are walking around unhealthy on purpose.
Yeah. It's kind of ingrained or subtly encouraged.
Hmm.
Hmm. This is how we're supposed to operate, how we're supposed to be.
Hmm.
And then the whole idea of the example, like because we've been this way, these are the things you get. So you have the father who is absent, who's not emotionally available, but he got a lot of money. He bought his kids whatever they wanted when they needed it. Oh, you want to be in that sport? No problem. Like financially, with my dad, it was never a question. Never a question. And as long as we're doing good in school, he didn't really have much to complain about because that's all that was where his engagement stopped, right?
Mm.
He would always say, "Are you getting your books?" That's what he would say, and we'd be like, "Yeah, of
I love
course."
when old people say stuff.
I know. Are you getting your books? We're like, "Yeah, we are," and that was it. Not how's school going, not how was your day, the in between stuff. That was mom's job, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, with dad,
Hmm.
not
That's
so
interesting.
much. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then it's kind of like if I believe that's my duty
Mm-hmm.
and I'm fulfilling it, and even if I don't feel satisfied by it, do I even acknowledge that I don't feel satisfied by it without feeling like that means something wrong with me?
Well, I don't think so because it looks as if nothing is wrong or nothing is missing.
Hmm.
I'm checking all these boxes, regardless of how I got to the box and whether or not it was right or wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I think
Yeah.
about my dad, the lights on, y'all got food on the table, y'all have new uniforms to wear throughout the week. What's the problem?
Mm. No,
Not
that's real.
Yeah, not that I have this poetry contest that I'm in on Thursday night. I want to know if you can be there. It's not that.
Yep.
Do you have the new dress to wear to the poetry contest? Yeah, I do, but
But I
you know,
wanted you there.
right, right. That's the
Yeah.
dress. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I think that, a lot of times when we do talk about men, and we'll address a lot of things this month, but I think when we talk about men, we always connect it to their lack of health for themselves and daddy issues we always associate with women.
Hmm.
We don't always connect daddy issues with children,
Hmm.
despite their gender or
Yeah.
sex, whichever word you want to use today. Uh, but
You.
no, I'm just being honest. Like we don't associate that, but the reality is, even when we interview Dre,
Uh-huh.
if you've not seen your dad do something as a
Yeah.
man, you you don't associate that with something men do or are allowed to do, right?
Hmm.
But then it comes full circle and now you've raised a daughter that doesn't expect that from men. So now we're continuing generations that do not make the space.
Yeah.
And so even though now we have a whole month dedicated to men's health, the reality is even though it's a month, is it just something on a calendar or are people actually paying attention?
Yeah.
Because that's different.
Yeah. It'll be the hot topic of the month. And
And
then
that's
we'll move
it.
into July and there'll be something else. And I think the goal is we don't want it to just be a hot topic. We want it to
No.
be a long-term trend that you go to sleep with at night.
Yep.
You reassess your day.
Yep. Absolutely. And that you as a man take your own health serious.
Mm-hmm.
Um and understand, you know what, maybe a man might need to hear this because I think my dad probably needed to hear that. I understand that you're not perfect, and I've never asked. Most people in your life have not asked for a perfect man.
Mm-hmm.
they just wanted you. And in your desire to be perfect or to show up in this man form, you lost you. So then that's not, they didn't get that,
Yeah.
right? They got the financial stability or not,
Mm-hmm.
that too. They
Mm-hmm.
got the, you showed me how to do this. Um, but I didn't feel loved. I've heard that from men. I've heard even men say my dad wasn't emotionally there. He was just a provider.
Yep.
So then what does that make you do when you start dealing with other people? I'm a provider. I don't know why you want me to talk to you about my feelings. And I don't know why these women
Exactly.
keep on talking to me about their feelings. That's
Exactly.
woman stuff. That's woman stuff. Um, but I think about that. So I'm glad we have a whole month, actually.
Yeah. Long overdue.
Say long overdue.
Long overdue.
It really is. I had talked with a guy earlier, and we were just talking about how men and women are different.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I even bring that up is because I hear that a lot and I can acknowledge it. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that men and women are way more similar than different than people want to acknowledge. I think by saying
Okay.
we're different, we like to continue to maintain the gap.
Yep. That's what I was about to say. Yeah. Because
It
if we acknowledge that we're
maintains
the
the
same.
gap.
Yep.
Yep. Right? Because think about it. We have a health month dedicated to men
Mm-hmm.
because we want them to address things. But all the things we want them to address, are they not the same things that women have to address?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are they not?
Yeah.
Like learning your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
learning to break,
Mm-hmm.
learning
Being
that
okay with pause.
being okay with the pause.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so when you think about that, learning and working through insecurities, at what point do we have to acknowledge that we've created this gap that doesn't really need to exist at the level that it does,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Because my favorite two sentences I hear from both sexes is this: women crazy, men stupid.
I mean, well,
That's what you hear, right? From the opposite sex. Women be like, men
yeah.
stupid. Men be like, women are crazy. But if you ever sit down with them individually and you actually listen to them talk, you're like, y'all saying the same stuff a lot of times.
Yeah. So it's a we. We are crazy and
And
stupid
we are stupid.
at times.
Yeah, so I feel like that might be part of it, is maybe if men could even let go of some of that gappage in their mind, it might actually allow them to focus on their health
Yeah.
so that they wouldn't be thinking this is feminine in a negative way, or that this is for women folk, as I like to the old men say, women folk. Things like that. I think that would definitely help them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I wonder if that would then make more spaces accessible if we acknowledge the gap and that
Mm.
we're both saying the same thing. So there's no reason why you can't belong here too.
That's a strong sentence. You can belong here too.
Yeah. Like, sure, this has been occupied stereotypically and by societal standards by women, but we're saying, oh no, we're the same. We're both crazy and stupid at times.
Yes.
So we can both be in this space together and talk about our feelings,
Yes.
talk about our upbringing, our relationships, why we're
Yeah.
scared to heal some parts of us sometimes because it feels a little too tender.
Ooh, feels tender. Listen, Bria's on something
This
today,
is where I
y'all.
have been, okay, over the last week.
Listen. I'm here for to receive all these
Oh
things coming from your mouth. I love it. I
God.
do. Tender. I'm about to use that word all week. It just feels tender.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's real. Because it changes the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely changes the narrative, which you're right. I think men would definitely utilize more spaces if they did not think they were for women folk,
Yeah. Why you
right?
keep saying
I just think it's so fun. You know why I keep saying it? Because it's an outdated statement. And so I think that's outdated thoughts. That's probably
Oh,
why I keep
I love
saying it.
it. Bring them together.
Come on,
Yes.
let's just move on. Let's upgrade ourselves. Change is great. And I really do wish men would utilize more spaces for
Mhm.
themselves because we need you.
Yeah.
We need you. And as a black woman, black men, we need you.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I am my best self as a woman when I can at least have the best version of you as the man. We are not opposite teammates, we are counterparts. It
Ooh.
is cereal and milk. Okay? That's what we're talking about. Biscuits and gravy.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'm just that's just what it is to me, right? Bacon, lettuce, tomato. If you need a
Oh,
third
I knew
piece.
it.
But I'm being honest, like I think that my part as a woman to deal
Yeah.
with men's health is to say, I care, I see you,
Hmm. I
I
need you.
see you, and I need you.
Hmm.
And maybe me needing you and me acknowledging that to you will open up the provider side of you that will make you then want to be a better version of you and take care of yourself simply because you want to provide that to me.
Mm.
And maybe that is something that we have not addressed.
Yeah. So the word for me in this moment is
Mhm.
acceptance.
Mm.
And I say that because I don't know if I mentioned this on a previous episode. I don't know what I was watching. Maybe it was a podcast. On my way home today, I heard a whole bunch of gems from podcasts that I listened to for the first 3 hours of my drive. If
Mm.
they apply, I'll bring them up, but we'll see. So I don't know where I heard this one
Okay.
from specifically, but the person was saying that people show up in the fullness of themselves for who they are in that moment. I know. When I heard it, I was like, wait a minute, rewind.
Say it again. Say it
Yeah.
again. One more time. One more time.
Yes. People show up in the fullness of who they are in that moment.
In that moment is a key
Yes.
statement I heard.
And when I heard that, I felt like I reassessed like my marriage, I reassessed my father, I reassessed like past relationships with guys. Like, wow. And for me, that was another level of healing, but it was
Mm.
also acceptance like, okay, this is all you knew and who you could be in this time. And if I showed up in the form of acceptance of who you were, would you then have been open or felt at ease to be more expressive emotionally?
First
Would
of all,
you then have felt like, okay, I can enter into this space with this woman or this, my daughter or my sister, right, who I care about because she accepts me for who I am right here in this moment. So I feel safe.